fellow carbon-based bipeds. I am Scott Rose, and you are watching Explosions and Stuff. Today, I'll be reviewing the 1993 film Firepower, starring Chad McQueen, Gary Daniels, Joseph Ruskin, and Jim Hellwig. But first, a word from our sponsors. An overview of the movie? In the dystopian future of 2007, the city of Los Angeles has created an area known as the Zone of Personal Freedom where the police do not patrol. However, this area has changed from a safe place for victimless crimes to a haven for all criminals known as the Hell Zone. After an attack on the police station, officers Darren Braniff and Nick Sledge go undercover as cage fighters to infiltrate a gang producing counterfeit AIDS vaccines. Little do they know, someone in the Hell Zone knows who they really are. The pros of this movie? Well, first of all, the fight scenes in this movie were just fantastic and amazing and beautiful. I mean, you have Gary Daniels in this movie. He's doing a lot of fight scenes, and his fight scenes are just fantastic and glorious and gorgeous and amazing and every other good word you can think of that applies to Gary Daniels' fight scenes. He is an amazing action star. He does amazing action fight scenes. He is fantastic at his job. Yeah, he's kind of stiff in the acting wise, but that's not why you're watching his movies. You're watching his movies to watch him kick somebody's ass, and he's just fantastic at it in every movie he's in, including this one. The fight scenes in this movie, almost all of them were fantastic. There were a few that were kind of I'll get to that later on, but the majority of them were just fantastic and amazing and beautiful. Also, they just nailed the dystopian feel in this movie. I mean, yes, it has kind of like that stereotypical late 80s, early 90s dystopia like you get from Escape from New York and Escape from LA, where it's lots of leather with spikes and like ratted up clothes, and the buildings are all kind of worn down and beaten up, and they're just kind of hodgepodge together and things. But still, they nailed it. This really looked and felt like it was a dystopian future. They nailed the aesthetic in this movie absolutely perfectly. The aesthetic and the look of this movie was just perfect and fantastic. Also, this movie was not bogged down at all with meaningless story. Let's be honest, the story in this movie wasn't really deep, but it didn't need to be deep. The story in this movie existed for one reason and one reason alone. Well, okay, maybe two reasons. One, to sell the movie, to get the movie made, and the other reason, to just fill in the spaces between the fight scenes and give some reason to transition from one fight scene to the next fight scene. And it worked perfectly for that. There was not a lot of plot in this movie to get in the way of the movie. It was fantastic. It was just perfect bare bones action movie, exactly what it needed to be, and the story in this movie, or what little story there was in this movie, fit the needs perfectly. The cons of this movie? Well, you know how I said that you don't watch Gary Daniels for his acting, you watch him for his fighting? Well, he was one of the better actors in this movie. All the acting in this movie was stiff. But let's be honest, that's what you come to expect from a movie like this. You aren't going to watch a movie like this for the acting. You're going to watch it for the fight scenes. So yes, the acting was stiff. It was pretty bad. But whoop-de-frickin-do. Also, you know how I said that the fight scenes were amazing? That most of the fight scenes were amazing? The final fight scene of this movie between Chad McQueen and Jim Hellwig, who's better known as the Ultimate Warrior from the WWF. That fight scene was, well, underwhelming. Quite underwhelming. And really, it was just these two people weren't really capable stage fighters. You know, the Ultimate Warrior, he was all about, being big and strong and flexing. He was a persona, not a fighter. And then Chad McQueen, his fight, I don't know if it's just his fight style in movies isn't very flashy, but it looked really stiff. There were a lot of quick cuts, and the whole fight scene look stiff compared to all the fluid, exciting ones that you had in the middle of the movie between characters that didn't really matter and Gary Daniels, because Gary Daniels was awesome in everything he does, even in this movie. I just think that was a poor choice for the final fight scene. If they would have just switched Chad McQueen and Gary Daniels and had them play each other's roles, boom, instantly this movie would have been better, because you would have had the main Gary Daniels playing the main hero of the movie and doing all these fantastic fight scenes the way Gary Daniels does, and you would have had Chad McQueen being kind of the sidekick guy, having his fight scenes that are relevant but not overly important to the movie, and doing his stuff. And I just think Gary Daniels would have made a better hero for this movie just because of the quality of fight scenes that he would have been in, and the quality of the final fight scene would have been so much better. Also, this one's more of a pet peeve of mine. It might not bother a lot of people, but this is a dystopian future of 2007. All the police cars in this movie are minivans. Yeah, like I'm supposed to take a police force seriously when they're driving around in minivans. Wee wee, minivan, minivan. Oh, whoop-de-doo. Here comes this badass in a minivan. He's so scary and so frightening and so intimidating. He's got a freaking minivan. Yeah, there were police cars that weren't minivans, but realistically, those were all the ones that blew up. Seriously, if you see a police car in this movie and it's not a minivan, it's gonna explode. That is guaranteed for this movie. It's not really a huge deal. It annoyed me. It was a pet peeve of mine. It's a nitpick of mine. Why are all the police cars in this movie minivans? My overall thoughts on the movie? This is a good movie for shutting off your brain and being entertained, so I give it one thumb up. I do think it would have been better if Chad McQueen and Gary Daniels had swapped roles. They're both on the same level acting wise, but Gary Daniels has better fight scenes, and that's what you want in a movie like this. It's not enough to make me dislike the movie, though, and it's still enjoyable to watch. If you enjoy dystopian future action movies, then you need to check out Firepower. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like it and subscribe to my channel for new action movie reviews posted every week and top 10 lists posted on the 10th of every month. Also, if you have any recommendations for things you would like me to cover in the future, please leave them in the comments below and follow us on Twitter at explosions_TV. Thank you and have a nice day.